8-bit music, also known as chiptunes, has been around since the late 70s. You'd probably recognize some of the more popular melodies from retro games such as Super Mario Bros. Or Mega Man. Even the sound effects of those games sound similar to the music, and I'm sure you know the ones I'm talking about. If you've ever wondered why, that recognizable sound is due to how it's produced and where. Back in the days of Atari and NES, far before more advanced consoles like your Xbox or Nintendo Switch, little computer chips were responsible for many aspects and functions of those games, including sound. Such chips had 8-bit sound processors on them that could only manage about 3 to 5 channels simultaneously depending on the console. For example, the NES had 5 sound channels. The first 2 produced square waves that sound something like this. The third produced a triangle wave, which sounds a bit like this. The fourth produced just static noise. And the fifth was reserved for audio samples. On the other hand, the popular Atari 2600 could only produce 2 notes. Also dependent on the gaming system was how many notes could be managed at once. For example, the Commodore 64 PC could only play 3 notes simultaneously. This was due to the use of sound management using an SID chip. Some early consoles, such as the 48K Spectrum PC, could only beep. What made this interesting was that in addition to the background music, sound effects would also play. Sound effects playing would take away from the amount of channels able to produce sound at once, which most won't notice these gaps in the music because of the speed of different actions where our brains would just fill in the blanks of where we thought that music should be. As we move closer to the 90s, technology inevitably advanced. 4th-generation consoles such as the Sega Genesis and Super NES were released, which had 16-bit graphics. Interestingly enough, the sound processors, though being more advanced, took the same approach as earlier designs. For example, the SG did not even have 16-bit sound processing and was comparable to that of the NES's 5 channels that were in mono, except the SG had 10 in stereo. The use of stereo sound allowed the user to experience depth and dimension in the sound. You can still hear the difference and similarities in these systems. I could go on forever, describing every evolution of sound technology in gaming, but there's something particularly charming about this era that draws a lot of people. You'll notice some popular modern games even, such as Shovel Knight, that give the same nostalgia to this time. Even one of my favorite musical artists, Crystal Castles, generates similar sounds in their music. Who could have known that even today, such simple sound engineering would remain so timeless?